I engineer failure for a living. Yep, that's me. I'm a failure engineer, and I love my job. As a failure engineer, it bothers me when educators try to prepare their students for the real world and then tell their students that they are failing at it. I came here today to tell you that students are living, breathing human beings, and that their world is extremely real. It's school world, the world that we imposed upon them, that's artificial. Well, game world is also artificial, and I think that it does a better job of motivating learners. So if we're going to stick our learners in an artificial world, maybe we can learn something by looking at game world. As an educator who loves her job, like a lot of my colleagues, I work all through the weekend to get the job done, which means I'm working now, and that means that you get to take a quiz. So get ready, here are your instructions. All right. Pac-Man. I don't play this game, but my niece and nephew told me I should include it. It's Angry Birds. Mario, tried and true favorite. That's my favorite. So yeah, these are all the sounds of gamers failing. And we can learn a lot by how the gamers respond to the failure. I'm very familiar with this screen. It's my favorite childhood video game. I played it an awful lot, and I kind of sucked at it. But even though it's telling me how I failed, there's even like sad music and animations that make me feel a little guilty and motivate me. The choices that it's giving me are pushing me forward. They're telling me to keep the faith and to fight the good fight and to not give up. This point of failure has become an invitation. I think we all know that academic failure does not feel like an invitation. In game world, we have this thing called a critical fail. It's when you lose ground. It sets you back in your progress. You may get frustrated. You may even throw your controller across the living room. But you want to try again. An academic failure feels like a crushing defeat. In game world, you start with your score set to 0, and your points count up. And you keep playing until you finish the quest. Along the way, you win a little and you lose a little. If you're me, you lose a lot. But you keep going because you're the hero, and the realm needs you. But in school world, from the student's perspective, the opposite experience is true. You start out with 100 unblemished, perfect, precious points, and you do everything you can to protect them for as long as possible. Your shields go up. Every multiple choice question that you answer, every blank you fill, every homework assignment that you might forget, every lab, every quiz, every project, you're gambling that you might lose some of those precious points, and you probably will. At semester's end, your failures are permanently emblazoned in the gradebook, and you know exactly how far away from perfect your semester was. In game world, there's usually some sort of currency that you have to run around and collect, and then you spend it to get stuff to finish your quest. Now, that's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking you've got to collect the magical objects so that you can use them to reunite the pieces of the broken relic, so that you can use the relic as the key to unlock the dungeon, so that you can go in there and slay the dragon and rescue the princess. It's like you're using your problem-solving skills and critical thinking and a variety of information and some objects, and you're integrating them into a cohesive solution to a multi-layered puzzle. Those coins were just a little part of the solution. You weren't playing the game to gather the coins. You were using the coins to play the game. And a lot of gamers actually find it annoying to have to run around and get these coins. We call it grinding. In school world, grades are kind of like those coins. Correct answers are worth a certain number of points, right? And wrong answers aren't worth much, if any at all. And somehow, the quality of work disappears after a deadline, because after a deadline, your work isn't worth anything. And all of this makes a lot of sense. Of course, in the real world, it's stopped making sense. Now it makes dollars instead. My econ teacher friends call that inflation. But imagine what my game over screen would have looked like to me if Game World had used grades instead of other kinds of motivation to tell me how I'm doing. And imagine how ridiculous it would be if I tried to measure the contents of your brains by looking at the size of your paychecks. That's ridiculous, right? And I don't hear too many of you laughing. I hope you find that funny. And if you'll laugh with me, the louder you laugh, the more likely it is that you're a teacher. Because we're underpaid. But teachers, there's an irony in that too. Now, maybe you're with me. Maybe you're ready to revolutionize this process. Maybe you are right there with me and you want to make school world look a little more like game world. It'll be awesome, right? And yeah, it'll be awesome. But it's not all unicorns and rainbows. I've been doing this a while. I've observed hundreds of heroes on their quests. And I've watched them all fail. They didn't fail because they were supposed to have collected at least 70 coins and they only brought me 63. No, they failed because they couldn't decide in committee, they couldn't agree how to reassemble the broken relic. They failed because they mistranslated the ancient scrolls of poetic wisdom. That last one's not a metaphor. Latin teacher. And this kind of failure, it really, really freaks kids out. It's authentic failure. Kids get freaked out by it even if they know they're allowed to try again, especially when they know they're allowed to try again. Because if they're allowed to try again, they're never off the hook. And I'm tough. I'm not going to let you phone it in for a completion grade. I'm not going to let you bring me a dragon that's 7 dead on a scale of 0 to 10, because completion grading that project is a really bad idea. Yeah. If you're used to getting your feedback from numerical little grades that you get along the way, it can be very disorienting to be asked to measure your progress by looking at your own experiences and testing your own hypotheses. I can ask you some fantastic questions about how you think the quest is going. I can spontaneously pop out of nowhere and offer some eerily perceptive observations on your dragon-slaying readiness. But at the end of the day, what it comes down to is is it that the dragon is dead or not? If the dragon is not dead, yeah, go try again. Now, when we ask the learner to go try again, to go be the hero, we're also saying that you have the opportunity to, I'm sorry, I got lost. When we give the hero the opportunity to try again, we have to understand that it might take multiple tries, that there's definitely going to be some teamwork involved, that there's going to be hard choices and sacrifices along the way, and that the opportunity to try again is affirmation that you really are the hero. As soon as we tell you it's too late, I'm sorry, you have no more tries, we're also saying, you're not the hero any longer. So if we're going to try this method, this model of running a classroom, we might have to re-examine all of the roles that we play. And we're clearly casting the learner as the hero, right? They're in the spotlight, up front, main character of the story. But teachers might feel a little uncomfortable with this because we're used to being at the front of the classroom and the spotlight. So let me offer some observations on who we're not. And teachers, I'm not fussing at you. I've made every single one of these mistakes lots of times. But we are not standing guard at the gates of knowledge, deciding who gets to come in and read the scrolls and whose game is over. It's not our job to do that. They don't need our permission because we don't actually own the knowledge. We're there to facilitate. We're not going to sell them a magical, fake miracle pill that's made out of completion-based rubrics and glitter glue, no matter how disillusioned and tired we get, because we know how that quest is going to end. It's either going to be a 20-year vengeance obsession or true love that fuels that epic win. We are not going to be the monster at the center of the labyrinth that the hero needs to defeat to get access to the next level. It's not our job to put the fear of God into them. They're already scared enough of the things that they have to do, and we would look ridiculous in that costume. And as much as we are really into the subjects that we teach, and as much as we enjoy the activities we're building, we have to resist the temptation to be the hero of the story. We have to let the kids do that. It's about building a quest that is worthy of a hero and then equipping the hero to be able to complete it. If we make the task too simple, too rote, it becomes meaningless and boring. And this is where we get to be failure engineers, because the failures make the game. It's when you fail that you as the player have to think again and learn from your mistakes. It keeps you engaged. It keeps you coming back. The critical fail is the moment where you want to try again. And we need to resist the temptation as they are failing to swoop in and rescue them. It's our instinct. We're rescuers as teachers. But if we do that, we're also stealing their learning away. Imagine what would happen if an entire campus adopted a philosophy like this. It would be like all of us were developing content for a shared operating system, the operating system being our shared philosophy. And we could make a vast library of phenomenal learning experiences and openly share them with all. Now, I can't tell you who the bad guys are in this metaphor because every curriculum has its own dragons to slay. But if you've stuck with me this far, you as the teacher or the student already know who your big bad probably is. Now, your next step is to figure out, how do you defeat it? I've been doing this a while, and I started out alone and in the shadows, and it's dangerous to be in that spot. So let me share some parting wisdom from my own experience. The number one sin in my classroom is to give up. But I never consider that you gave up. I always think that you took a temporary pause and I just haven't convinced you to come back yet. I never use grades as currency, only as feedback. If I let you do an assignment again and other people think it's unfair because I paid you twice for the same activity, well, that unfairness only exists if we monetize the feedback stream in the first place. This is what I think about you having the correct answer. You know who else has the correct answer? Google. This is gorgeous. When I see this, I am one proud mama. You're failing, you're falling down, you're working together, you're reasoning it out, and it's beautiful. Once you have figured out how to slay the dragon and you have come to tell me how you accomplished it, I'm going to pause and I'm going to express how awesome you are, and we're going to high five for just a minute. But then, if you want the angels to sing, if you want me to give you a 100 in the gradebook for the semester, I'm going to get out of your way and ask you to look over all of your failure moments, and you are going to design the next game for the next player. You want evidence of mastery? I've got your evidence of mastery right there. If we want students to learn, if we want them to keep coming back for more, failure is an essential part of the process, and we've got to stop pathologizing it and sugarcoating it and acting like it's something to avoid. When we do that, we steal their learning from them. It's not that critical fails don't hurt. They hurt, but they're an essential part of the process. When you're trying to learn, a critical fail is literally critical. Thank you.